Hey guys, so welcome back. It's Plain Genius. So we've been talking about shoots and pretty much looking at leaves, looking at the root, like the shoot anatomy. But today I want to talk about a little bit about root anatomy because we kind of looked at the structures of a root kind of, but we didn't really go into how it looks internally. So let's get into it. Okay. Root anatomy 101 for real. Okay. So kind of similar to like, us and the shoots. Like the root cells have a epidermis and that's this outer layer, right? And then this inside area, the cortex, similar to the shoot, is just like a space of parenchyma cells, and these are just like plant versions of stem cells. So they're just differentiated. They don't have any specific like. They're not really specialized to do anything. They're just kind of like space holders, kind of in a sense. And then there's kind of like another like inner like cell, and this is the endodermis. So in this like space is kind of where like water comes in and like nutrients comes in, and then this is also where this kind of decides like, okay, you can come in or you can't come in, right? And then behind that is another like layer called the pericycle. And the pericycle is the area where new roots will like kind of come out and grow from. So like let's say like so when we went over like the root cap, right? So that was kind of, let's draw it. So we had the root and then the root cap. And then so from the root cap, like let's pretend like this, this is like right here. So this in between like the pericycle would just come out and then grow another root shoot, and then that would be another root. So in here, let's say like you were uprooting your plants or doing some transplants and you broke a root. So what happened is the pericycle would pretty much like quickly replace that by like making like seven branch roots, and it would just quickly shoot out and then come out. So it's like when you trim roots, that's why people are like, don't stress out about it, because like as long as there's some left, there's always gonna be more roots coming from that root. That doesn't mean like destroy all your roots for real, but you be mindful, but they'll also not at the same time the roots will come back. Like plants are resilient for real. And then like going back to like our vascular cambium, like the area of that area like elongation and separation of the roots. So that's right here in between the phloem, which you got, if you guys remember, the phloem is the part that takes in the food from the leaves that are created from the leaves, and it takes it to the root. And the xylem, which is this cross pattern, which is tough, is what takes up the water from the roots, from the soil, and then takes it up to the leaves. So that's just this intersection, how it looks inside the root. It's so tough. And then that's pretty much like our whole structure. And we're talking about like secondary growth, which is pretty much like that stage when the roots decide to like, well, and shoots, when the shoots decide to get like bigger and thicker, and that's when we start to see like barks and stuff and trees forming. The same things can happen to roots if they have a vascular cambium and a cork cambium present. So like the root will start to look woody, and you can even see like if you see like tree roots, like how they'll be like really big and woody and brown. It'll be similar to like the shoots, but like they won't be as thick as them. So similar process, but just a little different. But guys, this is kind of just the overall structure. So like go back over. So we have our epidermis, so the epidermis, the outer protection. We have the cortex, the made of the parenchyma cells. We have the endodermis, which is that secondary barrier for the secondary cells of the vascular cambium. And then we have the pericycle, which new roots will grow from. And then we have our phloem, which where we get the food from the leaves, that goes to the roots. And then we have our xylem, that goes, do we get water from the soil, from the roots to the leaves. And then we have the vascular cambium, which is that place of elongation and also separates our vascular tissue. So it separates the phloem and it separates the xylem. So guys, like that's pretty much like kind of how the root anatomy looks. So, again, it's always good to understand your plants and kind of how they work. So like when you work with them, you're more aware, because again, like without knowledge, you can't really do nothing for real. So the more you know, the better you become at growing. So I just thank you guys for watching. And remember, I may be a plant genius, but you can be a plant genius too. Peace.